Guys, so I know I promised you guys a video about lectins, oxalates, and salicylates, but I didn't get it done. And I'll tell you why. So I started researching lectins, and quite frankly, I'm probably going to talk for 15 minutes just on lectins. So I decided you guys probably didn't want to listen to me that much. So I figured I would talk to you about lectins, and I will get you oxalates and salicylates in the next few weeks. Not next Sunday. That will be another garden video. But I will get them to you in the near future. So in the meantime, we are going to talk about lectins today, and I will go from there. So what is a lectin? Well, it is a type of protein that binds to carbohydrates as you digest them, and then it kind of piggybacks on that carbohydrate, is my understanding, which might not be a big deal if you have really tightly bound cell connections in your digestive tract, but so many of us have some degree of leaky gut issues with when we have histamine intolerance. It's one of those things that it's a really good chance that even if you don't have GI symptoms, you probably have a little bit of gut issues to some degree. So why does that make lectins a problem? The problem is the lectins get into your bloodstream with those carbohydrates as your body processes them, and then it causes your mast cells, especially if you have mast cell issues, it seems like, from the research I was doing, to degranulate, which then, as we know, releases histamine to bring in the other immune cells to start fighting the intruders. So what does that really, how does that affect? Well, if you eat something with a lot of lectins, you're going to have a greater histamine response because you are degranulating your mast cells more. So that's great, but what should we avoid? Well, they're in the tomatoes and they are in tomatoes. They are in the seeds and skins of tomatoes. They're also in potatoes and eggplant and peppers. And the thing with lectins is, for a large part, they are denatured when you cook them. So if you have something that is high in lectins, you're less likely to react to the lectins in it if you cook it. So that's great, but that means you might not want to eat raw peppers or raw potatoes. But I don't think most people eat raw potatoes. I think that's just my kids, which is a little crazy. With the tomatoes, the lectins are in greater quantity in the seeds and the skins, so you can remove those to some degree. And then, of course, cooking still helps get the last of it, and it probably doesn't take quite all of it out, but it will greatly lessen the load on your body. So, and another thing with the tomatoes, I have found one brand of tomatoes in this area, and I really wish I knew where they were or even what the brand was. But I realized a day or so later that I hadn't reacted. And they actually can their diced tomatoes without skins or seeds in them. So you might have to play around with that a little bit as you get cravings for spaghetti sauce. But realize that there are ways you can greatly reduce that and maybe be able to actually do real tomato spaghetti sauce if that is your main nightshade issue. The other thing with the lectins is that when I was doing my research, the protein that's actually attributed to the problems with nightshade vegetables is solanine. What is solanine? Well, solanine is another protein, kind of like a lectin, but in addition to the nightshade vegetables, it's also found in things like blueberries, huckleberries, okra, and artichokes, which I don't react to those things. I don't know about huckleberries. I don't honestly know that I've ever had huckleberries, quite frankly. But it is one of those things that I don't react to those at all, and it is found in those. So I don't think solanine is really my problem. I think that is actually probably lectins. That is my main problem with nightshades, especially when I react less with tomatoes than any of the others. So what else is it found in? It is also found in legumes. So that does include peanuts. They are not a nut. They are actually a legume, kind of like green beans or peas. And with those, for whatever reason, multiple studies I read said that that the lectins in peanuts are not denatured in the processing to make peanut butter. Whereas most foods containing lectins, it will kill off a vast majority of the lectins when you cook it. For whatever reason, it didn't seem to do that when peanuts were roasted to make into peanut butter. They were scientific studies. I will give them that, but I don't react to peanut butter or roasted peanuts, whereas I do react to raw peanuts. So food for thought. Your mileage may vary on that one, but I do react to, at this point, I do react to green beans and like snow peas and pea pods and stuff like that. Now, that being said, one thing that I repeatedly found was that if you're only somewhat sensitive, you very well could get back things like green beans and snow peas and things like that that have immature seeds, essentially, because that's what the bean in it is a seed. So if those are not mature, there is less quantity of lectin in the item. They are also found in wheat and most grains. So things like rice have lectins in them. I have a feeling that is probably why I don't react as much to white rice as I was reacting to brown rice, because the white rice has the bran removed, and so I am thinking that the bran is the main location of the lectins in those. I only actually found one place that said rice contained lectins. So some things obviously contain more than others. Again, if you want to try it, make sure they're cooked rather than just like soaking your cracked wheat in a bowl or something. Now, granted, most of us have issues with gluten as well, but I actually, when I tested, I react to gluten containing grains, but I don't react to gluten itself, which leads me to think that maybe it's actually the lectins. Then you've got your beans and pulses and things. So red kidney beans seem to have the highest amount of lectins. If you eat raw or undercooked beans, you can actually get physically sick with 4 to 5 red kidney beans from lectin poisoning. And the main symptoms of lectin poisoning appear to be food poisoning. So that would be your vomiting, diarrhea, gastrointestinal upset that you're going to feel, and that actually can come from undercooked beans. And so make sure they are cooked. I have seen people in groups mentioning that they can soak their beans overnight, drain the water, soak them again, like they soak them for 2 or 3 times, then they cook them in an Instapot, and then rinse them again after that and then use them, they don't have any gastrointestinal upset or problems with them after that. Now that being said, I don't think the musical form of gastrointestinal upset is necessarily a sign that you're being poisoned. I think that's more of a fiber issue. But like for me, when I eat these things, and I've been off eggplant for 17 years now. I've been off peppers for the most part. I will still use the occasional chili powder or something, in very limited quantities. But for the most part, I just cut out tomatoes and potatoes in the last year. And what I found is they were greatly contributing to the overall itchiness I was having. So while I don't like the fact that that's how that works, I'm very glad to hear that I might be able to get some tomatoes back, because I tried tomato sauce, y'all, and I tried making my own. It was not the store-bought. I'd still like to try the store-bought, but quite frankly, I'm just $6 for a small jar of sauce just is not sustainable for me. Especially if I'm going to try and feed a family with that. And we'd need 2 jars. So, for that reason, I might be able to get tomatoes back, but overall, these foods are no-goes for me anymore. And, you know, as much as I don't like that, if it means I can get my mast cells to stabilize for a while and not have problems, I'll take it. And, you know, maybe I introduce stuff back in small quantities when I'm doing okay. The heat seems to be bothering me quite a bit lately. So, that's one of those things that I'll probably be eating. I'll be doing my fudging on lectins a lot more in the wintertime. But in the meantime, please like, share, subscribe, and come visit me on Thursday. I'm doing live streams now at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then I will get you another video out next Sunday as well. And that one is not going to be on this kind of thing. It will be another garden video. So talk to you guys later. Have a great week.